Welcome to Quintessential Experiences. Today we have a very special guest, Sir Ian Wilson. I'd like to call him Sir Ian. This is the famous husband of the famous Marion Goodfellow. We're really excited to have him with us today because he wants to share what it's like having someone like Marion in his life all day, every day, what his life was like before Marion, how he started to notice changes and developments. Hopefully, Ian, you can tell us what life feels like now.
Well, before I met Marion, I didn't believe in spirit.
Oh.
And Marion was filming over in the Lake District. And I didn't know this, just that my ex-wife had left me about a year beforehand. And just on a day out, I thought I'd go over to the lakes. And there was this film crew with Marion. I didn't know who she was. She said, "I'm a medium." My first response was, "I'm small." So anyway, I asked her what she was doing, and she told me. And I said, "Oh, we have a place where I live in South Shields, which is called Marsden Grotto. And it's a pub that's built into the caves of the sides
of the cliff.
Of the cliff. It was derelict for years, but it's supposed to be very haunted. So anyway, she said, "If you get a chance, send me the photographs." This is her email address, and we separated.
Okay.
So I went back home. I took some photographs of Marsden Grotto, and I emailed them to her. I got an email back the following day saying, "I've received the photos, but they're all pixelated." I thought, strange, I've sent thousands of photographs.
It was me.
So I said, "Where do you live? I'll print them off." So she said, "I live near Sandy, Bedfordshire." So I said, "Well, funny enough, I'm coming down there this weekend." Because I used to fly model aircraft, and there was an event on.
Okay.
The Biggleswade. So we agreed to meet, and I gave her the photographs. And I was staying at a travel lodge, and we arranged to meet for breakfast and one thing and another. And she said, "I've got to go and see a friend to give a reading. Would you like to come?" So I said, "Well, providing it's all right with your friend, yes."
Okay.
So her friend said, yes, it was okay. So I went along for the ride. And she gave the friend the reading, and she said to me, "Well, what did you think?" So I said, "Well, to be honest, I wasn't impressed." So she said, "Oh." So she says, "Have you ever had your cards done?" I said, "No, I don't believe in it." So she said, "Can I read your cards? Can I do your reading?" So I said, "Okay then," with some hesitation. And she gave me the reading. She told me all about my childhood, that my father was a merchant seaman who was away for long periods of time. And she said, "Oh, your mum's just come through." Right. So she said, "She's telling me that you live between two clocks," which was the town hall clock and a clock on the seafront. I used to live between the two. So strange.
That's a hell of a first date.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I said, "I've got to go back to the travel lodge," and Marion went back home. So that night I was watching TV and started to feel very sleepy. So I turned the light off, turned the television off, and went to sleep.
Okay.
I'd been asleep about maybe an hour or so, 2 hours, and I felt the bed sink as if someone was sitting on the bed. And it sort of woke me up semi-awake. Then all of a sudden, the duvet cover went tight across me. I was like cocooned. I couldn't move. and I pushed and pushed as hard as I could to get this off the bed.
You couldn't.
All of a sudden, it went light. So I spent the rest of the night with the television on and the light.
Oh my goodness.
So we had arranged to meet for breakfast. So breakfast time came. Marion turned up and she said to me, "Are you okay?"
He looked a bit bleached, a bit white.
So
Like white.
So I said, "No, not really." I said,
Actually, no.
She says, "Well, what happened?" So I explained what had happened. She says, "It's your mum come through. She's looking after you." I said,
Tucking you in the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, "Well, I didn't like it."
Oh.
She says, "No, did not like that at all." So she said, "I've got to go and see a friend. She's also a medium." And I thought to myself, what on earth have I got myself into here? So we went to this lady's house and got introduced to her. Rose, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Rose, yeah.
Okay.
So Marion was sitting on the chair, Rose was sitting on the sofa, and I was sitting on the other chair. All of a sudden, I start to go like that, shivers down my arm.
Uh-huh.
So Rose said to me, "What's up?" I said, "It's gone really cold and like somebody's scratching nails down my arm." She said, "Yeah." She says, "It's your mum. She's been there for the last half hour."
So
I
it's
thought,
still,
"Oh, no."
so she's still there.
Yeah.
So Marion said to me, "Come here." She said, "Put your hand on my back." She says, "That's where your mum is." So I put my hand on her back, and one spot in particular was ice cold, but the rest of it was body temperature. But this one spot was ice cold. And she said, "That's where your mum is. Now tell her." So
Tell her.
I put my hand on her and I said, "As much as I love you, I don't like what's happening. Please, no more." And to this day, touch wood,
She's never come back.
never came back.
Very interesting.
That was my first encounter with spirit.
I can't believe it. That's, well, actually I can, but wow.
Yeah.
Not having had
But
any
he's got-
experiences like this.
He's got very, very sensitive as time's gone on.
Yeah.
He's, I ran a class in the north, here in South Shields, and then I ran a class in Cyprus.
Mhm.
And Ian said, "Can I join in?" And I said, "Yes, of course you can."
Yeah.
And he got very, very, very good at, sort of describing what he was seeing and what he was feeling.
Yes.
And he is quite sensitive now.
That's
I don't
amazing.
think he's mediumistic, but he is very sensitive.
Well, there's many different ways. There's many different ways to
Yes.
Experience spirit. Mhm.
Marion had just finished one of the Ghost Detective series, and we had the other medium called Paul Hanrahan. He came up to stay with us.
Okay.
So there's Paul Hanrahan, Marion, myself, and my son Paul.
Oh, that's wonderful. You'll love this story. It is absolutely amazing. Yeah.
So we went to the local paranormal group. Marion was asked to do an auction.
Yeah, I was guest
A guest
auctioneer.
auction,
Yeah.
So anyway, about 11:45, we arrived back home, and I don't know what made me do it, but I had my digital camera. I opened the patio doors and I took a photograph, and there was hundreds of orbs.
Oh,
I mean, hundreds, right?
my gosh.
So I said to Marion, "Your mates are here," just like that. So
And slammed the door
she
shut.
slammed the door. So she said, "How many is it?" So I counted them, put them on the computer, I counted them. There was 147. Right? Now, where we lived
It's a mining
was a
community.
mining community. And there was a mine shaft that
Oh.
ran underneath the house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Now, we counted 147. We'd done some investigation on the computer, and we discovered that, I'm not sure if it was 1820 or 1826,
Mhm.
147 people were killed, and they were killed on this mine shaft.
So 147 men and boys had been killed in a mine collapse.
Yeah.
This was on October the 10th. It was almost midnight to the 11th. So I said, it's too late to do anything now. We'll
I had all the names,
all the
actually.
names.
All the names were listed there
Mm-hmm.
of everyone that had lost their life. You know, it was really surreal.
So it was too late to do anything. I said, we'll investigate tomorrow. So we got up early, switched the computer on. No record of it.
Of the photo.
Totally gone.
The photo was gone.
No.
The names, everything was gone.
There was no record of ever
there ever being
an accident, right? So we got in touch with a guy called Mike Halliwell, and he knew someone who knew about this. So they confirmed what we had seen, but he said it was before records ever started.
Before records began.
So.
And it was it was there in black and white.
So
like
the
said,
record
the
was
6.
right. So you had this experience, you had the photos, it had all the orbs in it, you counted 147, and then the list was made available to you to see what it was before the time of anybody having actually made any such list.
Now, Christmas approaches, our first Christmas together, and we bought a real Christmas tree, and we put 100 lights. There was 140. There was 140 Christmas lights
on the tree.
It. So I decided to take a photograph of the Christmas tree lit up, and round the top of the Christmas tree was 7 orbs.
7 more.
So that was total of 147.
Right.
All represented around the Christmas tree.
All represented, yes.
It was very emotional, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't have manufactured that for him. That is something that he find out himself.
Yeah.
You know. And his son is. I mean, Paul is very, very spiritual now, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, so you can't. You know, when you go through an experience like that, there's no. You know, you can't dispute it. It happened.
No,
and
not
that's
at all. Not at all. We have had many reports in America at Gettysburg in Pennsylvania.
I've been to Gettysburg.
Where the Civil War, yes. And certain individuals have had audible and visual experience. And others have had none. Some people have had experiences in collective, you know, like on a bus tour, where some of the members of the bus tour, like let's say 30%, are all part of the collective witness of something audible or visual. And maybe there's 60% of the group that isn't noticing or can't pick it up, or it's not for them, you know?
Yeah.
So
strange, isn't it?
It is strange.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Marion went to Gettysburg, and she channeled the energy of a guy called Henry.
Okay.
Sergeant, wasn't he, or a colonel or something? Yeah.
Okay.
It was in the
it was in the blues.
It was apparently
a lovely soul.
Apparently, he'd been captured, and he was beaten quite badly.
Okay.
He had bruises over his left side of his face.
Shot him in the knee.
They shot him in the knee, and he actually died in 1906.
So he lived through the Civil War and then died many years later. And Marion, you saw this. Marion, you could see
Oh,
everything.
yes, yeah, definitely. I met him at Gettysburg. He brought the boys to meet me, and I was so overwhelmed by all these people marching towards me that I can remember saying to one of the cameramen, "My God, can't you see them?" And there was all these young men, young boys, you know, some in uniform, some not in uniform. They were just marching towards me. It was wonderful, but very, very sad, very moving.
Extremely poignant moment. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
because
it was really emotional.
Were they coming to you to be relieved, to maybe get some
No.
healing, or
No, just
Okay.
validation. That's
just
all.
validation of their
Look,
presence?
We're validation. We lived, we were here, and this is our validation. This is what we want you to see.
So after Marion came back to England, a few months went by, and we got invited down
Police
to
officer near Wales. What was it called? I can't
Chepstow.
remember. Chepstow. That's
Chepstow,
it.
sorry.
Chepstow. Yeah.
And we got invited there, and there was this mound, which was a previous burial chamber.
Mhm.
So we arranged to go there, and Marion we formed a circle. Marion went into trance, and she channeled the energy of Henry.
Yeah.
Right? This soldier.
Henry was a soldier. Okay.
And as the moments went on,
You were
I was taking photographs. I was busy recording it, and you can see Marion starts to have a black eye and bruised across here.
Yeah.
And on her left leg, there was a powder burn just above the knee, where he had been shot. You know,
Yeah.
but I've still got that photo somewhere.
Well, I'll have to see. I have to send it to her,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
The best part about it was we went on to Chepstow to do a police investigation of a murder, and Henry came with us, didn't he?
Yeah.
He wanted to help us, and he did help us, didn't
He
he?
did.
It was absolutely
No.
amazing.
How did he help?
He really was.
How was he able to help?
He was. Well, it was hard to say, really. He helped save a child's life because Ian was with me at
Okay.
that time. And we were working at Chepstow Church, weren't we?
Yeah.
And I was giving off the information, and Ian was sitting with this couple and their young child.
Okay.
And if you can imagine it, so it was like the top of a really sharp incline, almost a cliff face in front of him.
Mhm.
And
It was about
all of a sudden, this child went for the edge. And Ian saw the child disappearing over the edge.
It was actually over the edge when I seen him. And how I got from the seat to the edge, I will never
grab
know.
him. Yeah.
But I actually grabbed him. My arm was covered in nettle stings,
Stings and brambles, wasn't
Brambles.
it? Yeah.
but saved his life.
Yeah. Saved his life.
What might have happened to the child? That
Oh, it would have
just-
killed
He
him.
would have killed him.
Definitely would have killed him.
It was
so
a
what
shame.
drew him? What drew the child to just run towards the edge of a cliff?
No, it was only a baby. It was only
was
about
only a
two
baby.
and a half. I think
Yeah.
2.5
If
years
that,
old.
if that.
You know, they don't sense any danger then, do they?
No, I guess not.
Just,
Yeah.
just ran towards the edge, and I just seen him going over.
Mm.
And it was quick as a flash. I was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
So Ian was meant to be there just as much as I was. He in fact, his job was more important than mine because he saved the child,
Oh, yeah.
but all these stories that rumble round and round and round
Yeah.
with us, and
Yeah.
we've had thousands, haven't we? But I think Ian, when he was in lessons, when we were doing, when I was teaching you, that was the best because he saw his best friend. Do you remember her?
Maureen. Yeah.
Maureen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he saw his best friend. And that's always evidential, I think.
Mhm.
I didn't bring her through. I didn't say, your friend's here. He actually saw her himself.
Yeah,
So what's happening was, I used to work in a factory, and Maureen was a trainer. She trained me to do this printing. So anyway, the factory closed down, and we went to live in Cyprus for a while. I got this vision of Maureen. Well, the story. We went down the staircase in meditation, walked along the beachway. I could feel the actual water on my feet. This cloud came towards me just offshore, and Maureen's head appeared out of the cloud. And she said, like that, and I said, Maureen, I can't hear what you're saying. And she was mouthing something. Then all of a sudden I felt a hand on my shoulder, which was her father, who I used to work with. He had died previously. And he's saying, she says, Maureen's saying, tell Bob that she's okay. So I said, okay, I will tell Bob. So with that, Maureen backed off and the cloud dispersed. And I came out of the meditation and I was a bit,
Jittery.
So anyway, I'd lost touch with Bob for years. And when I came back to England, the first person to come up on Facebook was Bob.
Ready for the message.
Yeah, ready for his message.
Ready for his message.
And I told him what had happened, and he was in tears,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
How long
It was
had
wonderful.
Maureen had it been since Maureen had passed?
That must have been about 2 years. Yeah.
So that's a long
I
time
didn't
for.
know at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't know at the time, but she had choked on a biscuit.
Oh my gosh.
Choked to death, didn't she?
Yeah.
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 So you didn't
But
know.
as
So you.
for living with me, I'm just normal.
Oh my gosh.
Totally normal.
It's sure starting to feel like to me that even your meeting was definitely a necessity.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way
Preordained.
for yourself?
Yeah.
Preordained? How do you feel, Ian? What was your life? How did your life feel prior to meeting me, Marion, and now seeing all of this unfold?
No, don't say about your ex-wife, just your experiences.
Well, I've seen Marion's ex-husband. He brushed past me. I said that you don't frighten me, Mick. I'm not scared of you at all, And with that, I could feel a draft come past me as if he'd run away, But I've seen things. I got a job on security in Milton Keynes, and I was sitting having a cup of coffee with one of the cleaners, the head cleaner, and this voice said to me, "Tell her it's Margaret."
Tell her it's Margaret.
Like that.
Okay.
So I looked at it, I said, "Who's Margaret?" And she went, "Oh my God." She says, "Margaret?" She says, "That's my sister." She said, "She died 3 weeks ago." I said, "Well, she's just told me to tell her it's Margaret." But
So I think it's catching.
It must be. It must be. Do you feel that the quality of your life is better, worse, the same since meeting Marion?
It's definitely better.
Okay.
Definitely better. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And do you feel there's more meaning? Being able to have all of these experiences, do you feel differently about the concept of miracles or the concept of, because I know you said in the beginning you weren't into any of this kind of awareness.
I wasn't interested in it.
No.
But that totally changed when I met Marion.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely changed me.
He does everything he can to help me, Angela. He really does.
Yes, I see. I know this. I know this,
yeah,
and it almost seems that he needed you in his life as much as you needed.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We've lots of investigations at ourselves.
Together. Yeah.
I consider my part to be the photography side of it.
Yes, I was just going to ask for you to share about your passion for photography. When did you develop your skills? Has this been a lifelong pursuit?
It's been a lifelong. My father had a black tank, and I never knew what it was until I was about 12. And I said to him, "What is that tank?"
Yeah.
And he said, "It's a development tank. And you put your negatives in and develop." But I used to develop my own black and white, color, then to color slides, and then digital came along. You don't need any of that, So
do you feel that much of your work isn't represented well in digital form?
Yeah, I think you've got more. You can do more with the black and white.
Okay.
The film side. I used to love doing the slides, but no longer.
That was, I think, was that Ektachrome? Because you had Kodachrome and you had Ektachrome,
yeah, Kodachrome,
right?
Yeah. And Ilford HP4.
Yes,
P4.
yes, exactly. Yeah. And then what kind of camera? What kind of camera do you like to use?
I used to have a Praktika.
Okay. And is that a square format?
It was 35mm.
Okay.
And went into the digital,
Mhm.
and
what-
Marion bought me a Nikon D3100.
So
for
that's what you
Christmas.
use. That's what you use now.
That's what I use now.
Is that
But,
what you captured the 147 orbs with?
No, that was a Fuji,
A Fuji.
little
So
one like that.
yes, so
He's
like
got, he's got loads of different cameras.
Right,
so I
right,
don't know
and-
what they are. Yeah.
I'm the only reason I'm asking these questions is because we have so many folks that are burning to know. Does
Yeah.
it make a difference in order if you're trying to capture spirit in any electronic format or on camera? Would you say one is better than the other?
Yes,
You've done it all, haven't you?
the compact cameras uses a different sensor
Okay.
to what the digital DSLRs do now.
Mhm.
So they got more chance to capture on the compact cameras.
Why is that? Do you know why?
I don't know. It's just something to do with the actual sensor itself.
I see.
He actually got a full-bodied apparition, didn't you, at Newcastle Keep?
Yeah,
And it was amazing. It wasn't it?
yeah.
We feel it was a page of some kind that was sitting by the fire, and you could see him actually get
Yeah,
up from the
that was
fireplace.
on video.
And that was on a video camera. So, I think if they want to be seen, Anthony, they will be seen. So
We were at Newcastle Keep, and down the bottom end where the soldiers used to sit around the fire. There was 2 alcoves, and I seen this figure get up and go to the corner and sit down, and I was busy videoing it. Then somebody came in with a torch and shone the torch right into the alcove, and that just
wasn't evidence. You're
wasn't
banging
evidence.
the
Oh, sorry.
Okay, it's okay.
They just, after somebody had shone the light, that was it. The evidence was
Go on.
gone. It's the minute anybody interferes with anything you're getting, that's it. You've got to throw it out the window. So we're quite strict, aren't we? With evidence.
We were in Newcastle Keep, and it's 15 years ago. One of the guys has just bought a new digital recorder. So Marion said to him, "Let's go down to the chapel right at the base of the Newcastle Keep, the castle." So him and Marion went down, and he placed the recorder on a stone, and you can hear Marion say, "Well, come on, spirit, let's see what you're made of." And you can hear the footsteps walking away. And as they're walking away, you can hear a voice saying, "Who are you?"
Oh dear.
As if to say, who do you think you are?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
About a minute into the recording, I mean, this is total quiet, right?
Mhm.
No one's there at all.
Mm-mm.
About a minute into the recording, you can hear the shuffle of people coming in, and chairs moving around like a congregation.
I see.
And all of a sudden, you can hear them singing.
Like a Gregorian
like
chant.
Gregorian chant.
Right. So it could have been monks.
It could have been.
Could have
monks,
been,
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there's across the road from the castle, there's a church with a clock on. Now, this clock struck 3 o'clock in the morning.
In our time.
In our time.
Mhm.
And about 6 seconds later,
It struck 3 o'clock in theirs.
it struck 3 o'clock in their time as well,
So
on the recording.
So we got 6.
So there's a time
The time.
difference.
Lag.
Just a
Well,
few
That
seconds.
is fascinating. That is fascinating. So that suggests that just the difference in dimension
Yeah.
of our
Absolutely.
world and
So
experience
Time
and theirs.
travels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
Yeah, definitely.
I guess I have to ask this. When you saw the apparition by the campfire and then getting up towards the alcove, and you said you were videoing it, could you see with your own eyes, or was it something that you only saw
I could
after
see
you
it
recorded
through
the video?
No, I could see it through my own eyes.
Through the lens.
Through
the lens.
viewfinder. Yeah.
And now, Marion, in your experience witnessing the same thing, What do you see? Do you see the same thing?
Well, I see it with whatever Ian sees with his eye through the viewfinder.
Mhm.
I see with my eyes.
Mhm.
So I could see. I thought it was a young man, didn't I? A young boy or a
Mhm.
page of some kind. I could
Right.
see that with my own eyes. This is where Ian's photography and my seeing something
Mhm.
is we're compatible.
I agree,
Because
and that's
I say to him, oh, look, there's spirit, and he can take a photograph. And that's when we get a proper orb,
yes,
not one of these dust
yes,
particles.
exactly,
You know,
exactly. So then my next
it's
question would be, Marion, with you having a second sight, the ability to see things other than our normal intake of a visual spectrum, what does that part of you see? Do you get extra layers? Do you get extra color? Anything? Sound?
no, strangely enough, I've never been asked that question before. Sometimes I see things as you're in your lovely blouse and I could see all the colours.
Okay.
And then other times I see them in a very pale, almost grainy sort of picture.
And that's kind of what a camera would
Almost
capture.
a shadow of themselves. Do you
Right.
understand what I mean?
Right. And now I understand that that's how a camera would also capture that same sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that helps us understand, Marion, what your experience is.
Yeah.
Similar, comparing and contrasting to what others are seeing and what cameras or film might actually be capturing. Absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
I think some of the things that I've experienced and been witness to, it's like I think I said to you once that spirit have actually said to me, "Excuse me."
Yeah. Hello.
So where am I to them?
Yeah.
I mean, they can obviously physically see me.
Yeah.
Am I a spirit to them?
Very well could be. Yeah, very well could be. I always wondered about how they may view us. Absolutely.
Absolutely. But that's the only. I think it only happened. So it only happened twice. Once it was at the Manor House, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The American Academy thing.
Yeah.
And the other time was in Dobbins.
Yes, I do recall in the Dobbins episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were going through a doorway or a hallway that wasn't there anymore, and you could sense that that it had been there, and there was someone on the other side.
But it's not a regular thing that they see me or feel me. But then I always think they can hear me.
Sure, they can.
When I go into a place, and you've seen me working, haven't you?
Yeah.
When I go into a place, I always introduce myself.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, my name's Marion.
Mm-hmm.
What's your name?
Exactly.
And if you think that if there is a soul there and it's been stuck in that environment for eons.
Yes, and it probably wouldn't even know how long it's been stuck. Exactly.
Absolutely. Thank God. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden you get somebody come in that can hear you, feel you, sense you.
Yes.
It must be quite remarkable for them.
Well, perhaps they must feel that this is their relief and their release. If they have felt that they have been trapped or imprisoned, if you will, in this state of consciousness or state of being, however they may experience it. Now, going back to the story, tell her it's Margaret. So here's a perfect example of coming into a place and a space where nobody's taken the time to necessarily introduce ourselves, and coming through to Ian and saying, "Hi, your sister." So it gives me the feeling that she's close by. It just gives me the feeling that she's close by, regardless.
That was the very first time it happened to me, and I was quite shocked as well, because I was just sitting having a coffee, and
minding your own business.
Tell her it's Margaret.
Tell her it's Margaret.
So, do I say it's Margaret? Do I ask who is Margaret?
So that tells me that Margaret, since her passing, has been very near to you and going along with you wherever you happen to be, and now with Ian, and all of this kind of thing. So to me, it feels like there's so much that could really be put together with everybody's experiences that, they've had. You'll start to realize that this is the whole spectrum. This is the whole spectrum of possibilities of how, and I very much am interested in taking it together as a whole, to be able to try and create some kind of model or some kind of understanding of how the spirit world is in constant, continuing connection with us in real time, full time, all the time, regardless of location and regardless of whatever the state of being. Mark had said, you try to define ghost phenomena, and he said, one aspect is a feeling like a residual imprint that could be stored in, architectural matter like stone or wood or something like that. And then you can have replays that just keep replaying at exactly the same time, like 3:00 in the morning when the bells ring. And then you can have the kind where there is an interaction, where there is a conscious, intelligent back and forth, which you've had all of these experiences. And to me, to put all of those things together, to bring it into a sense of a wholeness of understanding of what the spirit realm is relative to our waking and sleeping hours of the day.
I've always felt that if we could all get together, all us second-sighted people, if you like, and all with a willing energy, what could we muster up?
Once it becomes more like a matter of fact for people, then I really think that, don't you feel that it would change people's meaning in their life, that it could change how they feel about their own mortality, or how they might feel about the loss of a loved one? The grief is terrible, right? To me, it just feels, Ian, I need to ask you, how have you changed? How have you changed as a human being, in your heart, in your soul, at your deepest core?
I treat it with respect now. Spiritualism. I do believe now. It's a hard question. I'm basically the same, but there is a slight skeptical, but I'm more believable.
Sure.
I think Ian's the original doubting Thomas.
Oh, he's not alone. He's not alone.
Show me.
Yeah, he can. He and my husband can sit and have a a drink at the pub and talk about all of these things from exactly the same regard. But I see in my own husband his fascination also growing, and I think, like anybody else, to be a healthy skeptic, not cynical. You see, there's a difference between cynicism.
No.
And
totally
a healthy,
different.
Right, and a healthy skepticism, and also having in perfect balance with that healthy, exciting questioning of things that you don't understand. That's the part that I also respect very deeply, having been raised as a scientist too. It's very easy to run away on the bandwagon with passion and excitement, when your emotions are involved and you realize that something extraordinary is taking place and happening. But at the same time, you don't just necessarily believe every story you hear. Because you have to get a feeling.
Ian's belief in me is absolutely unfathomable.
Yeah.
He thinks I can do miracles, and I can't.
But,
I can't do miracles.
But to him, you can, and you have. And
only little ones.
Sure, but the little ones count. The little ones count.
Exactly.
Like we've been talking all along. Every episode we've done has had some mention of. Many of these experiences are not showing up in big flashing lights. And I don't know that that's really what we're trying to hope for, or what we're trying to look for, because I think if we're only stuck on this kind of idea, then we miss all of these other little ones that are every bit as valid and every bit as genuine and just as important. And you don't need the flash, you just don't need the flashing lights for it. So it seems to me like the whole purpose of people wanting to grow their own sense of spirituality really means that they're trying to locate that in themselves. The fact they're trying to locate the spirit inside them, reconnect to the spirit and the divine inside themselves. And every aspect like this, if it changes you, if it makes you a more compassionate human being, if it makes you more aware of how others are feeling,
Yeah.
these become, aren't these the best reasons why?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Like he's
yeah.
made him more understanding of other people. I
Exactly.
definitely think that.
Exactly.
Ian's not the most patient person on the planet either.
No.
Who of us is?
And it has given him that little bit more patience, you know,
Right, exactly.
with others. So, you know,
Exactly.
it's our journey. It's our journey together.
Exactly.
You know, so,
And I think the reason that I fell in love with you, seeing you on television and realizing that you were one of my people, was when I watched you set spirits that were stuck here and provided them that healing, provided them that love. Do you remember a sunny day? Do you remember your mom? Do you remember, all of these things to get them into the right vibration to be able to
go,
to be ready to ascend. And I watch these episodes even 10 years on, and I feel
emotional.
I feel it, even though I realize the soul has already been set free. It revisits me.
I mean, I think they can still come back and visit. They've got a visitor's permit.
Absolutely.
They're not actually stuck here anymore,
I think it must take a lot of energy to densify enough to just drop back down to this level, which probably explains maybe why it doesn't happen as often as we think or we might wish for it to be.
I think it also, Angeline, I think it looks very fake. When you're watching somebody else doing it, it's not, unless you're doing it yourself and you can feel the tangible energy that comes through with these souls, then you can't really understand. You think, oh, they're just saying that, or they've been told that beforehand. It's that's the worst part about my work, is people will shout fake before they say anything else. They'll say, oh, she's making it up as she goes along. Because they can't feel the energy. You now feel the energy around me, don't you? That's a good thing about Ian and I's relationship. If I'm sensing or feeling spirit, he can also sense and feel.
So we saw someone walking through.
Somebody walking through the hall the other day. Didn't we? And Ian could feel it. He felt it was a woman and I thought it was a man, so, but at least he knew that what I was sensing was real.
We lost my mom on New Year's Day 2018. She had a decline from dementia, but she lived to the ripe old age of 93, we think, somewhere 92, 93. And then we lost my father the following year in May, so May of 2019. And my mother remains busy and active as a healing spirit. She was a medical doctor in earthly life. And in my communication with her, she is always continuing to do healing work out of the eighth dimension. Always caring. And of course, she's very happy because she doesn't get tired. She doesn't get tired and doesn't get worn out. So she can just continue. Brilliant. She can just continue to heal. And my father in spirit is having a very, very different experience. He's spending more time in the fifth dimension, and he is interacting with other soul spirits, those who have been family of this incarnation, as well as many other soul spirits besides. And every so often he comes and he is present. He is present to me and with me.
Oh yeah, he's often around you.
Yes, and I can feel him. I can't see him or anything like that, but I can feel him. So the way that I can sense that he is present.
Yes, that's right. See, Ian's already seen it. Come on, tell Angeline.
I can see someone behind you to your left side.
It's definitely there.
It's just
a presence. It's just an outline.
It's just an outline. And what I feel when maybe he is present in a more kind of way or a
Yes,
different kind
I
of
can
way,
see it,
is I get hot patches. I get hot patches on my body, usually on my ankle or on my foot. And sometimes it's my driving foot, the foot that presses the accelerator, because he was an avid driver, and he taught so many
He
of
likes
us
to
young
put his foot
people in Nova
down.
Scotia how to drive. So, Ian, you've been a student in her class. I'm sure you've seen other students and what their experience must be like, and
Well,
how
I can
different
tell
it
you
is
a
from your
little,
own.
I'll tell you a little story. We were in Cyprus doing this class,
Mhm.
and a lady called Lorna used to come every week. But this one particular week, she brought her son with her,
A little boy.
little boy.
Okay.
He was 11 at the time. And she said, I can't get a babysitter. Can he stay?
Yeah.
So Marion said, yes.
Perfect.
But he's got to sit in the corner, fold his arms and fold his legs, cross his legs. His name was Chester. So
Okay.
Chester came every week. And he said to his mother, can I join the circle? So his mother asked Marion, and Marion said, well, yes.
It's up to you. You're
So-
his mum.
You're his mother,
Okay.
So he joined the circle, and he was taking it all in. He was very intelligent for his age. And this particular week, Marion said, right, next week, I want you to all bring a friend who you will do a reading for. And said, it's not going to be that easy. You got to swap friends. Right?
Yep.
So Chester obviously never brought anybody. So all the other people had done the reading for someone else.
Hmm.
She said to Chester, pick somebody to do a reading for. So he said, you.
He
Marion.
picked me.
Picked Marion.
Yeah.
So she said to him, well, you're brave picking on the teacher,
That's right.
So she says, okay, away you go then. So he said, right, I've got this gentleman here. He's quite tall. He's got black hair and it's straight back.
Oh.
He said, I can see him with a white tuxedo coat on. He says, but I can also see him in a white polo shirt. He says, it's got 3 lions on. He says, the tuxedo, he has a red bow tie.
That's remarkable.
So Marion says to him, well, what do they call him? What's his name? So he says, I don't know. He says, but I'm getting the letter D. He says, but I'm also getting JCB diggers.
Diggers and tractors.
Diggers and tractors.
Oh, like a company
Right.
logo?
Yeah.
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 So anyway, Marion said, I'll tell you who you've got. She says, my best friend Jackie, her husband was called Dominic,
D.
and he was managing director
Of
of
Jason.
JCB
No.
in the Northwest area.
Oh my gosh. And how long
So
had he
she
been
said-
passed?
Sorry?
He'd been past about 5 years by then.
Okay.
A long time.
Okay.
So when he used to take guests out for through the company, he always used to wear a white jacket with a red bow tie. But he was also a very avid rugby
Rugby
So
supporter.
there's the
Yeah,
polo
fun.
shirt.
of the England team.
That's
And that
why you
was
had
the
the
3
3 lions.
lions.
Yes, the 3 lions.
And that